at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and he joins me now from Istanbul. Arvid, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Rahel.
So 1%, I mean, that's a pretty significant hit. Help me understand how you got to that figure.
Well, I mean, I must say that currently all of this is very preliminary because we are still assessing the scale of the disaster, which has truly been massive, certainly from a human point of view, but also the destruction of assets. And from what we know right now, the main destruction has been with residential housings and together also a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. Of course, then the next one in line is, so to say, infrastructure, municipal infrastructure, water, wastewater, pipes, electricity distribution, and of course also airports, roads, bridges have been damaged. Perhaps less so the productive assets like industry. I mean, here we have only very anecdotal evidence, but it seems that the destruction here has not been as massive as with residents.
I see. And so the residential impact here, part of the reason how you got to that figure. At what point does Turkey start to benefit in terms of GDP from the rebuilding, the reconstruction? Because as you point out in a recent report, this did happen early in the year. So at what point does that sort of counteract some of the negative impacts of the earthquake?
Exactly. Without having a full kind of damage assessment, of course, all of this is preliminary, as I said. But now, look, it happened early in the year. The region is responsible for, let's say, 9% of GDP. So this is massive, and we do expect some interruptions. As reconstruction kicks in, it might well balance out the loss of GDP on a let's say, aggregate level.
When you look for comparisons to even try to build these models, try to build an estimate, what's the closest comparison to what we're seeing right now?
Well, I mean, we looked at the earthquake which happened in 1999 close to Istanbul. It was at a comparable strength, slightly less if you want so, but it happened in a very different region. The area close to Istanbul is the core of the industrial production heart of Turkey, and with less population, but more industry. And it happened in summer, so the reconstruction only came the year after. So we did some comparisons in terms of assets destroyed, productive assets, residents, and as a very rough estimate, we might think up to 1% GDP might suffer this year.
And then before I let you go, Arvid, we know that one of the main initiatives for the EBRD has been the green initiative, right? Transitioning. When you think about the rebuild in Turkey, do you believe that you can rebuild with that in mind, or does the priority simply become reconstruction? Or can you rebuild in a greener fashion?
Well, every rebuilding is supposed to be, better than what you had before and up to, better and newer and more timely standards. And of course, now the green agenda is on top of Turkey's agenda as well. In that sense, especially in the southeast of Turkey, there's a lot of renewable energy being produced. I mean, that will certainly continue. Building standards, not only seismic, earthquake-proof, but also greener buildings, I think is mandatory to reduce Turkey's footprint. So all of that will play a role when we rebuild, but at the same time we have to do it quickly because people are currently sheltering in inadequate conditions very often, and they need their houses back very, very fast.
Time is